Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Yes, hello there.
So we're looking at this letter. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you on behalf of His Majesty's government the following declaration of sympathy with the Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. It will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. So that's the famous Balfour Declaration, and this is November 2nd, 1917. November 2nd, 1917. We have major escalations going on. This feels, I said to Cindy, I said, I don't know what you're going to get from the guides, but I kind of feel like no. This feels like this time could be a little different than what we've seen in the past. We've seen many incidents, countless incidents. But it feels like right now things could blow. And Cindy said it feels thin. And I said thin. And you said
like a bubble burst.
Like a bubble about to burst. Exactly. So Israeli strike causes the collapse of tower in Gaza. Rocket warning sirens sound in Tel Aviv as Hamas says it launched 130 rockets in Israel in response to the strikes on a tower building in Gaza. Oof. As you see smoke billowing after this Israeli airstrike. The Israeli military has continued its bombardment of the besieged Gaza Strip on Tuesday, targeting several areas after rockets were fired from the enclave. Health authorities in Gaza said at least 28 Palestinians, including 10 children, were killed in the Israeli airstrikes on the Strip since late on Monday after Hamas launched rockets from the coastal territory from Israel. And by the time you guys watch this, you know there might be a whole bunch of other things that have been happening. The rocket fire came after Hamas, which rules Gaza, issued an ultimatum demanding Israel stand down its security forces from the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. It occupied East Jerusalem after days of violence against Palestinians. The Israeli police stormed the compound on Monday for a third consecutive day, firing rubber-coated steel rounds, stun grenades, and tear gas at Palestinian worshippers inside the mosque in the final days of the holy month of Ramadan. More than 700 Palestinians were hurt in Jerusalem and across the occupied West Bank in recent days. It's a mess. It is an absolute mess. As you see the Iron Dome, there's several videos showing the Iron Dome in action. Pretty wild. Some commented, it looks like Star Wars going on out there. Look at that going on. So as missiles are shot to take down other missiles. Thoughts?
That is just so disturbing to know that somebody there is just trying to be at peace in their home, and this is what they have to look up to. Instead of admiring the stars and a quiet night, this is what they have to go to bed to.
And, you know, when we say this in regards to all the Palestinians and the Israelis out there. Because, again, I don't really feel that the average people of the world want all this. I feel that it's kind of, as we were talking about, orchestrated. And we're going to be doing a video from a lot of research I was doing the last several days. And there's a video here which shows the impact in Holland, Israel, of a large rocket. There was a lot of injuries there as well. We're going to be doing a video just showing how there is this connection behind the scenes. Some names you're going to be extremely familiar with, and other ones you may not have even heard of before. There is a power brokerage that exists that is multinational and multi-religious because it may espouse the beliefs of certain religious traditions, but it doesn't really uphold them at all. Instead, it's a chameleon that infiltrates its way in and then utilizes all available assets to pursue an agenda of total control, domination, greed, wealth, and ultimately destruction of anything in its way. Look at these little red dots. Gaza flooded the Israeli interception system with dozens of rockets and missiles. This has never happened before. A huge challenge to Israel. There are direct hits registered of missiles which managed to break the Iron Dome system. These are different times, as you see, major damage following a massive rocket attack. Definitely different. And this is another view of the sky being all lit up. Israeli TV reports direct hit on Tel Aviv buildings as Palestinians launch hundreds of rockets from Gaza. And of course, because so many people have been conditioned through what they've read in Sunday school, they're going to be looking and thinking, maybe Ezekiel 38 is coming. That's the conditioning I have too, growing up in the Catholic church. And then at 12, when a neighborhood new pastor came in, great guy, invited us to the Baptist church, started going to a Baptist church. All the meanwhile, I was at 12, 13 in that age group, starting to really research the paranormal, Eastern philosophies and traditions as well, and just getting deep into the hidden history of things, taking a first peek at the Kabbalah, the Gnostic point of view on things as well for the first time in that age group. This is so, again, the word that comes to me is orchestrated, as we see, but escalated. This is escalated to a much higher degree, and there's a reason why. Arab League condemns Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Head of regional body accuses Israel of stoking tensions and provoking violence at the mosque and in compounds around Jerusalem. And I was alluding to this before. U.S. Navy releases footage of an unsafe and unprofessional approach by IRGC speedboats. There's been so many of these incidents. I feel like I'm seeing old news, but it's another one. So there's video here. And Russia intercepts fourth foreign plane in one day close to its borders. And this was a Norwegian Air Force plane over the Barents Sea. Countless times as well with China incursions into Taiwan. And by the way, crypto is now worth more than US paper money. And recognize too that the amount of paper money that there is not close to what the digits show. This is why if there's bank runs, there's a big problem. Many believe cryptocurrency could be the savior. I think I'm one that would just rather see barter and trade, where there's no ability to manipulate things at all. It's just simple exchange of goods and services, going back to the old days. But to go back to why are things different? Well, as we've been saying, there's a decoupling going on. The economies are not so intertwined anymore between the Russia-China group, which obviously will include a lot of other countries, Iran, for instance, Pakistan, North Korea, probably, more than likely. There'll be many. And then also, the United States, UK, Australia, the EU group. But everything is breaking down at the same time. Do you know, we had talked about basically part of Oregon, the bigger part of Oregon, the eastern part of Oregon, there being a proposition for that to secede and become part of Idaho. And now we're seeing the same thing over with Minnesota and South Dakota. I believe it was Minnesota and South Dakota. There's going to be such changes like Cindy had seen before when we're looking at the U.S. in the future. You had seen 5 or 6. Was it 5?
5.
It was 5 different kind of regions. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have chimed up FEMA regions, but no, it doesn't really match up with the FEMA regions. It's a little bit different. Back in 2016, The guides told me Trojan horse. Trojan horse. And, what happened in the Trojan War? Well, Troy was doing okay till the Greeks came bearing gifts. And, they gave them this giant horse, which happened to be big enough to hold a whole bunch of army people. And they went and opened up the doors, and Troy was history. Well, the same thing exists right now in the USA. There's a Trojan horse here. There's multiple Trojan horses here. The barbarians are at the gates. The barbarians are actually already amongst us, quote unquote. And we have gotten from the guides that some of them have been here for multiple generations, ready to be turned on at the flip of the switch. All this is part of a bigger plan by some very, very big names, and some names you'd never heard of before either. This time is different, though. This time is different. And whether, things do cool down a little bit now, or stay on cool down to maybe a slow rolling boil simmer, or whether this does explode and start to go out of control, it does feel like it's just a matter of time, because the true power brokers in this world that have control over the countries, the banking, the corporations, the militaries, so much control over everything, it's on their agenda. Interesting too, there were two agendas out there. One has the numerals 21, one has the numerals 30, 2021, 2030. And it just hit me now that really coincides with what feels like a huge escalation here in 2021 that we have gotten from the guides. Will be flipping the switch come 2030. There's a reason why there is 2030 targeted, because that's when the claws, the big, nasty claws that are sunk into this globe, they're going to be not able to keep grasp. So we have to endure. And this is an enduring operation for all the people on the globe. We have to just ride this out, survive, come together as best we can, stay outside the system as much as possible, keep waking up others, do not allow ourselves to be pulled into lower vibrations, and doing things like tit for tat, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. There's more to life than just life on this 3D plane. This is just a temporary assignment.
Mm-hmm.
We are much more than this temporary assignment. The bigger portion of us, the real us, where our source comes from, resides on a much higher vibration and density. But we're here to raise the whole thing up and to change the system. So we must be aware of exactly what's going on, and we could almost say what's coming next, because it's all been laid out there. All the plays, all the plans in this big play, all the acts, the dramas, and the sorties, the military sorties, they've all been kind of laid out. We know the cast of characters will be sharing more. Keep yourselves in high vibration as much as possible. Obviously, keep prepared. It's not good to stick our head in the sand and just try to hum it all away, because although we are co-creating our reality, there's others doing as much as they can to co-create their own reality. And they've had the vast majority of the chips, as we know. The house, they say, always wins, but at some point, that's going to change.
At some point.
So thank you guys for being part of the family. Make sure you are subscribed to both channels. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. If you need to reach us for an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. And thanks for your patience with us getting back to you. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.